Hi, this is Dr. Gail Carson back with their radio show segment. Now, you know, I do 12 radio shows a month, so I have become really an expert in this area. And it's really interesting because radio shows are terrific. I mean, you can do them anywhere at any time. You can do them on Skype, you can do them on Zoom, you can do them on, oh my gosh, every device you can possibly imagine. As a matter of fact, I'm going to be doing some interviews on location, and because my producer can't be there, I'm actually going to do them on an iPhone. So, you know, it's just amazing today. So you can be in your pajamas. It doesn't matter what you look like. You don't have to put any makeup on. You don't have to get your hair done. You don't have to do anything. You just have to have a great voice, and you have to be interesting. So, you know, very few people today spend time going into a radio station. I still do some radio interviews myself when I'm in a town. For example, I was speaking for the American Dietetic Association, and I was doing it on marketing. And I couldn't have had a better day. I mean, it was just terrific. I was talking about marketing, and before I actually did the program, I had gone and done some television. I had done some radio interviews. My books were in 2 bookstores in the Kansas City area. So when I got to do my speech, actually deliver my speech, you know, dietitians do not think about publicity or PR or any of that. So they were very interested in what I was doing. And when I told them what I had done the day before, which was quite a bit, this is where I had the limousine driver drive me everywhere and thought I was this big celebrity. It was a perfect example. And it was so good. I got hired by, I think it was, excuse me, I think it was about 12 state associations that I did work for, including the Baylor Medical Center. So radio is great. So I'm going to talk to you about radio now. And more than ever on radio, your answers must be brief. There have been times that I've had to cut people off because they just go on and on and on and on. And because we're not together, you know, we're doing it by audio Skype, not video Skype, because video Skype takes up too much bandwidth. So we do audio Skype, and I can tell you I've had to cut people off because they just go on and on. So you don't ever want to be rushed, but you sure do want answers that are to the point. That's the important thing. They answer the question, they're to the point. You can tell a story, and you can tell a story that normally might be 5 minutes or 8 minutes if you were doing it on stage as a speech, but you want to get to the point in less than 3 minutes. And 3 minutes is a lot. It takes up a lot of time on radio. So just make sure that you banter back and forth with the host as much as you can and keep the audience tuned in, because the audience really doesn't care who you are on radio. The audience wants to know your information. They want to be excited about what you're saying. They have no idea what you look like, so they just want to be entertained, and they want some information. Now, the 3 shows that I personally do are women in business. So I interview women who either have their own business or are senior managers. I interview for my Living Regret-Free show, I interview men or women who can show you how to live a better life. And then I have my SOB radio, which is for women over 50. And I have women over 50 doing shows for women over 50. So if you're over 50 and you're a woman and you want to get your own show, let me know. But I also interview women who are over 50 doing fantastic things. So, you know, they're all different. They're all very interesting. I'm going to be doing a show from the Fitness Convention, Idea Fitness Convention. I'm interviewing men and women for my Living Regret-Free. I'm interviewing women who have their own gyms and their own businesses for the Women in Business. And then I'm interviewing 2 women over 50 who actually I'm interviewing 1 woman and 1 man. 1 woman who is over 50 and works out and teaches women over 50 to work out, and then a man who specializes in workouts for the aging. So going to be very interesting. But anyway, I'm going to give you a link to someone who has a list of radio shows all over the country. There is a cost for it. But I will give you that link. So if you want to take the time and energy to contact these people, you know, you can do it. I can tell you it's very time consuming. I did it myself. I think I called, wow, I called a lot of people. I'm a good telemarketer, so I think I called 100 people. And I probably guessed it on 35 to 40 radio shows, but it was tough getting a hold of them because, again, just like TV, when they're done, they're done. They're out of there. So even if you're talking with someone who may not be on a regular radio show, what's now called terrestrial radio, they're out of there. And otherwise, they may not be able to be reached. So you've got to think about that. Once again, you want to make sure that your topic coincides with the audience that is listening. You know, drive time radio has one kind of audience, and it's usually very quick blurbs. I did a lot of things on drive radio, but they were like, I think 60 seconds or 2 minutes. And then it was 10 tips or 7 tips or 3 tips. And then, but whatever it was quick and to the point. And what I did to get people's mailing addresses was I offered at the end, I said, if I did, let's say 3 tips, and they were really juicy tips, I would say, if you want the full list of 20 tips on how to manage your time more effectively, I want you to send a self-addressed stamped envelope to, and then I would give them my name and my address and so forth. And I got a lot of people to send me their requests. So then I had a mailing list from that as well. So just be aware that there's a couple of different things that you can do. But again, you have to decide, is this all worth it? Because you're going to be doing a lot of, you know, contacting people before you're booked. And always make sure you have talking points. One of the things that I do for my shows is I ask people to send me 10 questions that they would like for me to ask them. Now, sometimes I follow them. I mean, the majority of cases I do. But in sometimes I come up with questions of my own. It might trigger something in my mind. So I'll say, oh, well, you know, that's interesting. Have you ever thought about? And then I'll ask them something else. Now, the good ones, of course, they can just respond. They're ready to go. But if they're expecting me to follow that, you know, those questions, and I go off script, some of them are dumbfounded and don't know what to do. So again, you better have your talking points. And I ask for a short bio so that I have something to write up about them, because we do promo for them. And so we talk about, you know, their short bio, what they've done, things like that. And then I ask for their social media, because I want to promote them on social media as well. And so people can then get in touch with them. So there's a whole bunch of things that you can do on radio, but don't give your life history. I mean, you know, people send me, I say, a short bio. A short bio is 5 or 6 lines, and people send me a page and a half, and then I have to cut out what I'm going to use for that. And it's really, really important. Give the host what they are asking for. When they say short bio, they mean a short bio. They don't mean a page or a page and a half. So be aware of that. Also, since people cannot see you at all, they are going to judge you on your voice. So make sure it's low pitched. You don't want it up here somewhere, because there's not a very authentic voice and it doesn't sound like you really know what you're talking about. So make sure it's really as low pitched as you possibly can get it. So again, men don't usually have to worry about this, but women usually have high-pitched voices, and they may have to lower it a little bit, and it just lacks credibility. When you talk in a high-pitched voice, no credibility there. So make sure that you are in a low-pitched voice, and just, again, listen to yourself on a recorder, and you're going to be able to tell what you sound like. Talking points, most answers given in 90 seconds or less. Unless, of course, the host says, tell me more, or go further, or wow, that's interesting, tell me more about that. You just need to keep your answers contained. And if the host wants to go further with you, they will. Now, some hosts are funny. I mean, they will just be funny as can be, and they'll say, wow, I didn't believe that. You know, did that really happen to you, Gail? I mean, I can't imagine something like that really happening to you. And they're going to go on and on and on. But most people, when they're conducting an interview, they know you are the star. They are not the star. You are the star. So they're going to interview you the best way that they possibly can. The interesting thing about radio, at least from the statistics that I have about 180,000 listeners. And most of them are listening on mobile devices. So they're listening on their iPhone, they're listening on tablets, some of them are listening on a computer, because mine is an internet show, but it's also in the new cars. So the 2015, 2016 cars have the station on them, and you can listen to them there. And so there's just so many different ways that people can listen today. The other thing that people who listen to my shows do, they listen to the replays, because since it's online and they're archived, they can listen to the shows whenever they want. So we know that I would say 62% up to 74% of my listeners are female, and they average from 45 to 62. So interesting statistics, and they come in every month, and so we know how many people are listening and what their demographics are and so forth. And we don't really know their psychographics, but their demographic we usually know. But you just want to have a loyal following, because if you do, they can tune in whenever they want, especially with most people now being on radio that is on mobile devices. The person to get your list from is Joe, Joe, at joesabah.com. That's joesabah.com. That's where you're going to have a list of all the radio stations. He can give you the prices. You can decide if you want to get it or not. If you tell him I sent you, that's helpful to me, but doesn't mean anything. You don't have to. But it's a big list, and you really have to work it. And I did, and I said I did over 25 interviews. I think in total I did more like 35 or 40, but I know for sure I did 25. But wow, it took me a month, practically all the time on the phone, to get those shows, because people are just not sitting there. And when they are there doing the show, they're on air and they can't talk to you. So again, it's just very briefly I'm telling you about radio, but it's just that I want you to know, the voice is very, very important, because you want to sound authentic, you want to sound knowledgeable, you want to sound credible. So the lower pitched your voice, the better. Make sure your answers are smart, pithy, and exciting, and not more than 90 seconds. Do not drone on and on. If the host wants you to say something extra, they will tell you. I just say, well, wow, that's really interesting. How did you do that? But when they go over, and I've timed it, I actually time it because I'm doing it on Skype, and so I'm looking at my computer at the same time, and I know how long it takes them to say something. So I would say that most of them go over 2-3 minutes. I just stop it right then and there. So you have to be aware of that. The third thing is, most radio shows are not done with video. A lot of people ask me, is this video Skype? No, too much bandwidth is taken up. So you can do it in your PJs with no makeup, no hair, no anything. You're ready to go. And what I do with the people who are on my show, we give them, of course, a digital of their interview, so they can put it on their website. They can upload it to their YouTube if they have a YouTube station. And of course, then we promote it as much as we can, and we post to YouTube as well. So everybody's interview goes on YouTube. So they get good publicity for it, because they can use it on their website. They have it on YouTube. If they don't have their own channel, we have it on our channel. I post all the radio interviews on my website. So all of those things are happening for radio. And as I say, if you're interested in doing your own radio show, and you're over 50 and you're a woman, email me at gailcarson13@gmail.com, because I'm always looking for good hosts. And there's no charge for this. And so if you're interested in doing this, I'd be more than happy to talk to you about it. So that's what I have to say about radio. Not a lot, but again, the same information. Just be interesting. That's the important thing. Be interesting.